And this one is for my dad Norman, 1926 to 1973. It's called A Closed Window. You wake to a doctor sitting where your leg would be. How brave, they say, as if a body is to be endured. Through a closed window, a wind-tossed tree. You want it to be normal, not to be reassured. What is lost? An empty room soon fills with echoes. How brave, they say. As if a body is to be endured, you keep score, sitting in the stands. Who knows what a 9-child home swallows with its noise? What is lost? An empty room soon fills with echoes. 2 girls, 1 lost at birth, and 6 growing boys. There's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be sung. What a 9-child home swallows with its noise is no more bitter than the taste of your own tongue. Is a wood and plastic limb a tender living thing? There's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be sung. They come at night, mask, needle, saw, calling. You wake to no doctor. Sitting where your leg would be is a wood and plastic limb, a tender living thing through a closed window, a wind-tossed tree. And this one's for Rachel. It's called, well, the first line is the title. I remember we met in someone else's clawfoot bath. The taps were awkward. The moon turned away discreetly. I was all tears and apologies for being desired. Climbing in, I slipped, bumped my thinking on your actual body. We couldn't speak yet of what the water held. We let some out to pour more in, touched the skin at each other's wrists. Of course, the mirrors fogged up. Time pooled like candle wax, and when you stood up, you shone. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? It's good. No. Last year there was a photographic book put out called Land Before Lines, which is portraits of poets, and the photographer got us to write a response to his photograph of each of us. This is the one I wrote, and it's about the photo he took of me, but also the photo that was taken of me when I was in hospital as a teenager. It's called Two Portraits, No Black Rectangle. In a basement. Relax, he says, so I hide the tension somewhere in the stomach. Move your hands away from your sides, thanks. This isn't about aesthetics, but diagnosis. Can you move your boxes down just a little? What does it matter what I felt? Lift your chin up. That's it, just one more. There were plenty more, but who'd prefer the truth to relief? Years later, my file arrives with a thump on the mat. I'd remembered a black rectangle that wasn't there. In the photo, my face is visible and a touch out of focus. Hugo Williams wrote, given that poems themselves are metaphors, I find overt metaphors more and more embarrassing in poems. Which is interesting, because it seems to me he's also talking about photography, clocks, chairs, a green lake somewhere, memory and association, the unstoppable neural flares and leaps, the white space of the mind which can never be empty. This is different, singular, or trying its best to be. Lenses facing off at close range. Camera sound and automatic sprinkler. I squint into a brilliant sun that loves and ignores us. One of the garden's pigeons tilts her quizzical silver head. In the beds, the fresh stink of fertilizer. I remember now the continual labour, lines dug into soil, this face that looks back at the world that is making it. The background is a blur.